Hello, welcome to Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. My name is Cindy. To my new subscribers, welcome. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the Soulprint community here. For all of the comments, thank you very much. Questions for Pendulum Friday. They are being monitored, and I just dropped my crystal, and will be part of Pendulum Friday. Um, let's get started. I want to take a look at Mark Robinson, but I'm just going to ask you to hold a second while I retrieve my crystal. All right, so Mark Robinson. I think he's the lieutenant governor, if I'm not mistaken, of North Carolina. He's running against a very well respected Democrat. And by the way, that Democrat's going to win the governorship. Just saying. Um, but he's found himself in quite the little kettle of fish. I mean, he didn't have a great chance of winning that election before the scandals because he's just unpalatable, right? I mean, he has ideas that cruelly, cruelly make Trump look like a really liberated and enlightened kind of guy. So that's not working. And this is the thing I want everybody to try to remember. Part of the reason that this nonsense that the Republicans are playing with isn't working is because energetically we are rising, our energies are going up. And as a result of that, the things that maybe worked at a slightly lower vibration are less and less appealing as people's personal energy rises. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people out there who still are sitting at that lower vibration, and they're the ones who think, God sent Trump to the world as the second Jesus Christ, okay? But by and large, people's energies are rising. And so these kinds of behaviors, these attitudes, the things he says are just becoming more and more unpalatable. Like, I mean, literally, like they are turning people's stomachs and they don't want to hear it. They won't want him around. And the harder that he tries to start talking about education or whatever the heck he's talking about, and, this is all lies. Well, no, it's not lies, right? I mean, you're, staunchly anti LGBTQ, except apparently, allegedly, you really like same sex porn. If that's what floats your boat, that's great, but you can't sit on two sides of the street, right? Um, the whole black Nazi thing, I don't get that one at all, considering that part of what that movement in the United States is trying to get rid of is black people. But I don't know, maybe he just doesn't see the irony in that. So is he going to make it, like, actually to the election? Is he actually going to be able to limp towards November 5th? The answer right now is yes, but limp is a very, very good way to say it. You're going to continue to see his poll numbers drop. Um, and by time he gets sort of to the end of October into those first couple of days of November, um, you are going to see a very, what else is new? A very defeated man who feels he's been backed into a corner, and so he'll be lashing out. Like, wow, what a surprise that that's how a Republican would behave. Geez, who would have thought? So, so let's start with the fact that North Carolina is going to have a Democratic governor, um, and asking what the legislature is going to do, and I don't know. Okay, like I have to tell you, I don't know anything about North Carolina politics. I didn't look it up. I don't know what's in there now or not in there. But what all they're saying to me is that the the Democratic governor will have the support he needs in order to conduct the business of the state. Um, there were some people that jumped on the Trump train, and then when they didn't win, they just sort of disappeared, right? We don't hear them. I mean, anybody know what Dr. Oz is doing? Haven't heard a word from him. Um, and that's going to be what happens to uh, this Mark Robinson guy. He's just going to sort of disappear from public view. Literally, the word I'm being told is he will be shunned. Um, because again, a bridge too far. Just like they're saying JD Vance will be shunned because as things unfold and as the Republicans lose the hold that they have, um, the things that even their base thought was funny or they enjoyed or whatever, um, even the base is going to start pulling away a little bit and going, okay, like enough. Like, we like you, we support you, we think your ideas are brilliant, but shut up because you sound like a lunatic. So there's even going to be that energy, and I guess that's already happening, right? Because you see people who are walking out of Trump rallies early because it's the same old, and he's not saying anything new or interesting or different. Um, Unfortunately for Mr. Mark, it looks like there's going to be a few more salacious tidbits that get dropped. So if they haven't earlier this week, it feels like very much by the end of the week they will have. And it truly doesn't look it just doesn't look very good for him. Um Yeah, I have to say it in some ways it's the energy around him is just dissipating, and the energy that's going to be out there is going to become darker and murkier and unpleasant. And so he's going to be really struggling to change the conversation, shift the topic, and he's not going to be able to do it. And frankly, that's a good thing. It really is. That's a good thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna add on a couple of little tidbits that they're telling me. I'm gonna do it to this video because it's short so far. So I'm just gonna throw a few things in there. One, Kester in Montana will hold his seat, I'm being told. Colin Aldred, Texas, his chances of being able to really literally oust Cruz continue to increase. They continue to expand. He can't rest on his laurels. He continues to need a lot of support, financially, volunteers, energetically with prayers, but he's in a much stronger position than he was even a couple of weeks ago. Um, and the government is not going to shut down October 1st. There's going to be, my understanding is that early this week they were putting something on the floor to be voted on. It was a stopgap measure, like keep the government funded until. But the SAVE Act, which is all about this thing that Trump was demanding get put in there about everybody has to show their you know, proof of, I don't know, citizenship so before they can vote. That got bumped, and apparently there's funding that's now being directed to the Secret Service, which is probably a good idea because clearly the Secret Service needs a few more people with a few more training. And they need support. Okay. And I'm not picking on them, but they kind of had a tough time of it in the last little while. Um, and when I look at that energetically, what you have is you have people who are exhausted. They're working longer hours, they're pushing harder, there is not the resources. So if they can get this thing through and you've got some money going into the Secret Service, that's going to be helpful. But I'm not seeing the government shutting down. Ukraine has become more aggressive. They are sort of moving into Russian territory. They seem to be, sending some stuff over the line and crashing it into buildings and places in Russia. That's a good thing. That's going to continue to happen. I have to say, energetically, they're not telling me that there's gonna be an end date, but what they're saying is over the month of October, that aggression by Ukraine is going to continue, and that really is almost going to force some peace talks. And make no mistake, um, Zelensky is not interested in giving up or surrendering pretty much anything. But it looks like October is going to be a very difficult month for Russia and therefore Putin. And so that's not going to, frankly, be good for Putin. There's going to continue to be sort of election interference from outside of the country. And, I am being asked to please tell you to be really mindful about what you're taking in terms of media, what you're listening to, what you're reading, and most importantly, what you're reacting to and what you're sharing. Because as we continue to move forward to November, the interference, the bots, the all of it is going to continue to increase and increase and increase. And so, and listen, it serves a purpose, right? It gets everybody wound up. It gets everybody scared. Everybody start thinking, oh my God, maybe things aren't going to go the way I want. And that anxiety and that stress brings that vibration down. And that's not what we're about. We're about maintaining that high level of joy because that's what's going to get you to the finish line. So, if you're watching things and you find that um, you're just getting more and more upset and more agitated, just stop watching it. It's like it's kind of like driving past like a car wreck, right? It's like you don't want to see it because it's going to be awful, but there's that part of you that just really feels you need to take a peek. Um, Try to refrain from that, okay? Because it's not going to be helpful for you. You are so much better off volunteering or voting early or checking your voter registration or, baking cookies or going for a walk or having coffee with a friend or whatever. But don't allow yourself to kind of get immersed in this because those outside influences, they're very good at this. And they've been doing it for a long time now. I mean, 10 years, more than that, maybe. And so they know exactly what American buttons to push to get people all upset and riled up. And as soon as that happens, they understand that what they're doing is they are um, interfering with the voting. They're interfering with the election. They're causing people to not want to vote or becoming scared to vote. Keep that away from you. Okay, just keep it away from you. This is the thing. They're telling me that the whole voting is not going to be anywhere near as scary or as treacherous as they're making it out to be. There might be a skirmish here and something there, but by and large, it's going to go quite smoothly, in part because so many people will be voting early, simply because it's just a better way to do it. You don't want to be in those crowds. So if you have the ability to vote early, do that. But because of simply because of the volume of people that are going to be voting early in some areas, you're actually going to have not massive amounts of turnout, which would then sort of really attract that lower vibrational, angry, aggressive, Trumpian mega energy. Final thing that they're saying is that even though technically Matt Gaetz is not being charged with anything pertaining to um, cocaine fueled parties with underage women, allegedly, um, he is not clear. He's not out of the water at all. And so even though we may not have heard about it, understand that they are still keeping an eagle eye on him and they are still investigating. And so things are going to become more and more difficult for him too. And any notion that he had of being able to become sort of a media celebrity is just, it's gone. Okay, so I guess this was like a this and that, right? So I hope you enjoyed all these bits and pieces. And thank you very much for being here. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, take care and be well. Bye bye for now.